Hello, welcome to the channel. So my name is Victor, and I'm going to be your anchor for this training. So this is the product design series for intending designers, persons that want to go into UI UX. So we've had about 3 series before now. We've looked at what product design is. We've looked at difference between UI and UX. We've looked at some basic principles of design. We're going to elaborate more in this particular module 3. And it's going to be a journey to us also understanding and learning how to use some UI UX design tools like Figma and XD, Adobe XD. Okay, so we want to look at module 3 that talks about visual design. So visual design refers to the use of imagery, that's images, typography, that is text fonts, and color to communicate a message or idea. Now, how you do this, it's going to tell whether you understand the principles of design or not, or you understand the elements of design. Now, this is very essential in us doing branding, advertising, user interface designs. Now, product designers are known to deploy their skill set in different areas, like in branding, like in advertising, in UI UX designs. And visual design comes very, very handy. You cannot talk about product design without looking at visual designs. Okay, so let's look at the elements of visual design. Well, the first one is color. We look at few. There are about 10, 12, even up to 15 of them, depending on what literature you look at. We'll look at a few of them that are very, very key and very, very important. So the first one is color. Then we'll look at typography. We can look at layout and imagery. Let's look at the first one, color. So in design, in doing product design, different colors connote different things. Later on, we're going to look at color theory, the color wheel, look at depending on the kind of emotions, depending on the kind of experience that you want to deliver to your clients in your design, that would tell the kind of colors you should use. And of course, different colors means different things. If you're using blue, what does it mean? If you're using black, what does it mean? If you're using green, what do you use? If you want a funky style, or you are developing a brand or a design for the young, or for the elderly, or for, let's say, PWDs, persons with disabilities, if you are designing for different kind of things, different colors matter. You cannot be talking about growth and you are looking at color blue, or you're looking at color yellow. So there are colors that are associated with some text, some context. When we're talking about growth, we're talking about Mother Earth. We're looking at black, we're looking at green. If we're talking about professionalism, we're looking at blue, and we're looking at some other colors. If we're looking at joyfulness, being happy, and all of that, we're looking at, that's where yellow comes in and the rest. So color means a lot in design. You don't just pick any color because you want to pick that particular color. Let's look at color wheel. Let's say a theme part and their meanings, right? Or adaptation. So we might look at that. So the point I'm trying to make is that each color actually connotes something, right? Let me see if I can get something close to what I'm trying to explain. Let's look at this color theory. Just a moment. I'll give you a link that explains the colors and tells you what they connote and how you can apply them and how you can start using them in your designs. Okay, I think I have something close here. Now, in color theory, we have, I don't know if you can see, this is not so clear. But you just try to see if you can get the importance of what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to say. In color theory, so we say we have the HSB, the gray style, the RGB, red, green, and blue, the cyan, magenta, yellow, and I think black. So that's what you have here. These are printing standards. So if you are designing for print, if you're designing for web, if you're designing for different adaptations, you're going to see color codes. So in your software, you're going to see, maybe give you an option to choose CMYK, that is 4-color combination, then RGB, then HSB, then gray style. The two most popular ones are the gray style, RGB, and CMYK. So this is your color, right? Different colors, your 3 primary colors. Now, colors and their meanings. Now, when you look at red, passion, love, blood, danger, strength. So that's why if you see any design that have to do with love, romance, passion, blood, danger, strength, you see that color being used. So it's not just out of the blues. The colors connote different things. Of course, purple, romance, romantic, and of course, some colors can be used interchangeably or can overlap each other's function, like red and purple. Then feminine, love, sensitivity, exciting. So that's why you see some brands, the way the logo is being done, the way the mobile app is being done, the way the website is being done, each of those designs come from a standpoint of meaning. So the designs are not just done because oh, I love green. Oh, I love blue. No, it doesn't happen that way. So for yellow, for instance, optimism, sunshine, confidence, attention, success. Then green, health, growth, peace, vitality, wealth, on like that. So you need to, for each design you want to do, there's a lot of research that needs to be done. Then there's a lot of mapping of the intent, of the emotions, of the ideas you've gotten from the user story, or rather the user research, to the kind of colors that you are going to be using at the end of the day. So the point is, you don't just take the color because you love the color and start using for any brand. No, it doesn't happen that way. So that's color, because that's to do with emotions, and it also conveys meaning. It's essential to use colors that align with the message and the brand. You cannot be talking about growth. You cannot be talking about peace, vitality, and you're using a red color. It's out of it. Any designer, any brand, experienced brand person or specialist or professional is going to see that and know that something is wrong. This guy, this lady doesn't just know what he or she is doing, because you are doing something, you're using a particular color, sending another message, and your text content, the brand message says something totally different. Okay, let's move on. Typography. The typography refers to the style, the size, and the arrangement of the text. One of the ways you can learn elements of visual design is to examine, let's say, top 50 brands of global, let's say Fortune 500, not even 500, Fortune 50 or Fortune 100 companies. So let's say brand elements of Fortune 100 company. So analysis and examples of all Fortune 100 companies, right? So you can look at the brand, you can look at the logo, you can look at the methodology used in deploying that. One thing you're going to find out is that let me see, just a second. Okay, this is saying something different. Let me look at this. Okay, let me look at. So what I'm trying to say is that the color, even the font, aren't just gotten out of the blues. They all mean something, right? You see the color, the brand message. So this is something you can read up. You can look up Tinker and Tweak, Bank of America, AT&T, Wells Fargo, Valero, Intel, Citigroup, Best Buy, MetLife, ADM. You see MetLife, for instance, used to be this. You see the colors that is now coming in. Green is now essential part of it. Look at ADM. What are they into? Positioning typography. Okay. Challenging to produce a unique take on something, a common medical gross, right? Health and wellness. This is still okay because I have a kind of a green here, but still that green is still maintained. Very, very crucial, very, very important. General Motors, Ford, John Deere, UPS. So the blues, Cisco, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that even the fonts, you can check up and research about fonts, their meaning. So you have official fonts, you have funky fonts, you have fonts for that you can adapt for kids, for the young, for the elderly, fonts that you might want to use to portray some kind of messages. These things are not just used because they want to be used. You get to understand that. Now let's look at layout. So the layout is how the design elements are arranged on the page. A well-designed layout can guide the viewer's eye and make the design easy to navigate. So symmetry comes to mind, proportionality comes to mind. There are some other elements. Okay, let's look at proportionality and symmetry in product design, right? Let's look at that. And let me see if I can see it. So proportionality is key for creating visually balanced design. That's why you see some designs and you find that the layout of the content, there is some sort of imbalance. There is some sort of skewedness in how things are laid. Look at this guy now. I can typically divide this design into two. That's what you call symmetry. Yes, you have a little overlap here, but that is, it's a given. You can take that because you're just trying to talk about what year you're doing this, 2020. If you divide this way and this way, it's same. Same thing for a website, right? Proportionality has to do with, for instance, the size of this logo. The size of this logo, if it's too big, it might be out of proportion with respect to other content or other section of the site. Same thing for this interface staring at me right now. If the text here goes two-way down, it becomes not proportional to these other areas. So that's why you see there's a kind of balance between this. And what you find out is that you now have to say read more so that you now have to go to a subsequent page. It's a principle in design. Same thing here. Proportionality means that each area of your layout must not go out of proportion. It's very related to balance because if something is not proportional to the other sections of your design, you're going to have imbalance, right? So you see it, you must have same thing. If you have too much of a heavy font or text here, and this space is empty, then you have a kind of a misbalance. Also, if you have an image here and you have some text here, another way you can balance this, once you have image here, you have text here, is that you cannot have an image here and have a text here. That way you balance the two areas. So very, very key, very, very important aspect. Symmetry, along with color, text, space, shape, can be used to create visually engaging designs and aid in achieving your marketing and overall goals. So these are elements of designs, elements, things that you should consider when doing your design. Of course, imagery has to do with photographs, illustrations, and icons. You have to choose the image that align with the message. You cannot be doing a design for clothing for kids and you're using an adult image to represent sales of products for kids. Or you're trying to do a UI UX for babies, mobile app, e-commerce store. The images you should have there or the illustrations should portray the particular message that you're trying to convey. So look at them here. So you have line, you have color, value, typography, size, shape, texture, direction. So all of these are very important elements that you should consider when doing your design. So let's talk about creating high fidelity mockups. Okay, so creating high fidelity mockups. Now, earlier on we talked about a sketch, right? A sketch. Then we talked about having 2D, right? So this is this guy here now. This guy now, turning this guy into this guy. Then from this guy, we are now having something like this. I think I've closed that tab. So we're now having, let me see if I can get it from my history. Okay, can't find it. Okay. Or let me check Behance sign up pages. Okay, that's it. So from there, we'll now get something like this. So the process is you sketch. Once you're done sketching, or what we call wireframes, you now get to a 2D, there you now get to a 3D. That is a full-fledged design. Now, we're talking about high-fidelity mockups. High-fidelity mockups are detailed visual representation of a design that simulate the final product look and feel. This can be my final look and feel, right? It's totally unique, slightly different from this sketch, but gives you an idea of what is going to be on the website or the mobile app at the end of the day. That's why we said is the detailed visual representation of a design that simulates the final product look and feel. There's an essential step in the design process, helping designers and stakeholders visualize and refine the design. So there is need to actually design this before the engineers, the software developers start creating what they need to create. The product designers can go up to this extent of creating what it's going to look like at the end of the day. So if the stakeholders, if the sponsors need to make any change, they can do that at this point. It's cheaper, it's easier, it's better off. If you start developing this into an application or a software or whatever, it's going to cost more, it's going to take a much longer time to have a change. Take, for instance, somebody can say, okay, let's have last thing before first thing. Instead of a next, let's have a sign up and let us have a pop-up. It's easier to do that in the design phase compared to where you're not trying to do that in the development stage. So for you to do that, you need to define the scope. Before starting the high fidelity mockup process, it's essential to define the project scope, including the goals, the target audience, and the brand guidelines. So the brand guidelines has to do with the color, the how you want the lines to be, the ideas you have gotten from the research you did. right? The typography, what type of fonts, and all of that. In subsequent series, I'm going to give you an example of what a brand guideline is like, so that it can define your designs. Gather feedback, collect feedback from stakeholders and users before creating a high-fidelity mockup. So it will help refine the design direction and ensure that the mockups align with the project goals. So this is what a high-fidelity mockup is. It can be for web, it can be for mobile app. So this is what exactly we are going to be developing when the project starts. This is what the web designer, the mobile app designer is going to be developing. So, but it starts with the designer. For instance, people walk into our office or consult us over the internet and say, okay, I want to design a project. I want to do this. I want to do that. One of the first thing we do for intermediate to large scale projects is to first do business requirement gathering. Is to first do business requirement gathering. After business requirement gathering, this is where we now start doing the UML, right? So we start doing some kind of flows. By the time we are done with the flow, we understand how it's going to look like. We can now proceed to do a simple sketch. After the sketch, we can now start trying to do the mockups. Not necessarily the mockups, we might need to do the high fidelity designs first before we now start mocking it up. When we say mockup, it then means that we want to put that design into the application where it's going to be adapted in. If the design is for mobile app, so we use any mockup, like Photoshop can mockup. You have several other tools that can mockup. Even XD can mockup. You can now put that design into the make-believe and you can export it so the person can know what it's going to look like. If it's a t-shirt, a book, or print, that design, you put it into what looks like print or what looks like a shirt. So that's what you call a mockup. So it's the final, how the final guy is going to look like. So what kind of tools you can use to do your high fidelity mockup? So you could use Photoshop, you could use Figma, you could use XD, you can use InVision Studio. So one thing you want to do is to pay attention to type, to color, to layout, small details like spacing and alignment, because you see, each of these guys can be zoomed out, right? Each of these guys can be zoomed out and you can tell where there are errors. If I go to Behance and I say, let's say e-commerce mobile app, e-commerce mobile app mockup, right? So this is an example. So for instance, this is for medical mobile app. Medical mobile app. So you see the way it looks like? Let's have a view. So you see, you have quite a lot of screens from the start of the application to the welcome, to some information, then to the landing page, to contact, to the different services, and all of that. So this is like the mock-up, right? So this is what the app is going to look like at the end of the day, right? So this has, so this is done using Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. So this can be designed, this can be edited. Look at mockups for print, mockups, marketing plans. You can use Canva to also do some mockups. But Photoshop Illustrator is going to give you a lot of more flexibility. These mockups for shirts and all of that. So you see, this is how the shirt is going to look like. This is how the design is going to look on the shirt at the end of the day. So that's the difference between the design and the mockup. So the mockup is the end product, what the end product is going to look like. So one thing for mockups is also you can see how to have animations and interactions. Then don't forget to iterate. Don't forget to do a lot of back and forth changes, get an idea of what they want at the end of the day, and infuse that, refine till you get a lot of testing from the clients before you get to deliver the end product. Now, when you're designing for responsive web and mobile interfaces, now, when you want to do your designs, understand that your designs are going to be adapted for mobile and web. It's what we call responsive design. So responsive design is a design that adapts to different screen size. Take, for instance, if you check this website, that is the Southtech Ventures website. If you check this website, this is what you're going to see on desktop, right? If I collapse this, you see, watch the menu. See this menu? You're not going to find it in the mobile version. If I collapse it, I see something like this, right? I see something like this, right? You see some sites, they do, and some parts can be hidden, some parts can be gone, right? You see the way this footer was in the mobile version is completely different from the way it is in the what's it called, in the desktop version, right? See the way it is. So the design is adapted, right? You see, once it's an entirely mobile stuff, you see the way the footer is. When it becomes a tablet, watch the adaptation. You see, it's now, the footer is now 2 levels, right? Other layers still remain same. Watch this footer. By the time it goes from tablets to a larger template or a desktop or a mini app or mini laptop, it becomes full-fledged. So that's what you call responsive design. So responsive design is like adapting your designs to different screen sizes. Responsive design is adapting your design to different screen sizes. So when you say responsive design, this is what you mean, right? So it's an approach that suggests that designs and development should respond to the user behavior. If I'm on tablet, if I'm on desktop, if I'm on a large screen, you should design to meet my needs. You shouldn't design, and when I'm on tablet, or you design does not have adaptability to the different screen sizes I have, right? So you see, like what I explained, once it's on mobile, this is what it looks like. Once it's on tablet, this is what it looks like. Once it's on desktop or laptop, this is what it looks like. So responsive design is an adaptive design. So one task we're going to be doing, if you're taking this class or running a mentorship with us, is that we're going to be developing a visual design system, and we're going to be doing some high fidelity mockups for a mobile app, maybe for a logistics app, for an e-commerce website, for a banking app. So stay tuned. If you are enjoying the content, do well to ask your questions or to like and share to persons that are interested in learning product design. So in subsequent video, we're going to be looking at Module 4, designing for user experience. Cheers, guys.